Well, hello, model car fans. Welcome to the Muscle Car Modeler. My name is Rao, and this week I'm doing a little bit more work to my 71 Dodge Demon here, sponsored by Hobby Nut Models. And as you can see, I've gotten a bit more of the Citron Yella paint on it, and pretty much finished painting all of the body and some of the other parts that went along with it, and the chassis. So with that, I did get some time and sprayed the interior tub semi-gloss black, and you can see the Citron Yellow on the bottom side. But I did that because this is visible through the chassis. Not quite as far, but it is visible. And I like that over-restored look, but I'll get into that here in a minute. But yeah, steering wheel's painted. This is the tough wheel dash. I mean, this is just the basic paint for the interior tub, but I need to be working on that next. So I didn't paint the hood scoops yet. I'll paint them later as the body is ready for them and it's got all the paint, but I'm going to put the decals on and all the decals on the sides here and the tail panel. This thing is painted and ready to go. Got my holes drilled for my rear spoiler, and then the headliner is all blacked out and ready to go. So this thing's pretty much ready for decals and foil. So that's one of my next steps here, and blacken out the grill area here. Because if you use the kit decals, you need to paint this. But I'll be working all that here really soon. Got the grill painted, this painted. One of the changes I did do, these are the kit mirrors that they give you right here. And they're chrome mirrors and they're a little flat. But I don't see these on hardly any of these cars. I always see the sport mirrors like this. So the Duster has them in chrome. So I pulled these off and stripped them. I'll put the Multi-Low in there. But, you know, got these two mirrors ready to go, painted. And they're ready to go on. And they're left and right specific. So change these out. And then, of course, I pinned them. These are stainless pins. Which stainless are really hard to do. I ran out of brass. I went to the store. And they had the stainless ones. Well, they're really hard to cut. You really need some really sharp wire cutters for those. Another thing I'm looking into is a shifter here. There's a shift ball in there. I'm just trying to remember if this has a pistol grip or not. I keep thinking that the pistol grip is not available in the A bodies. But I'm going to double check on that before I do anything with that. And another thing, I got the wheels assembled and ready to go. I need to paint them. But they're pretty much assembled and ready to go. I just need to paint the faces of them. And I was checking them for fit and everything. And they are fitting the chassis. The chassis is kind of weird to put in because here's my finished chassis. Because they're using these plastic pins and you glue them in place instead of having the pin go through them. So I was making sure they fit, and they're a tight fit, so the paint is kind of smeared off, but they'll be glued in place. And mine I don't want to rotate, but you can get them to rotate, but it's kind of tight, but I figured these are going to probably break. So liking the way they came out, and I like my chassis over restored, which is what's here. I got asked recently, what is correct? Why do some people paint them black? Some people do this and that. And that's kind of to each his own thing, but I might do a whole other video on explaining that. But I like this fully over restored look, especially since the drive shaft is molded in. Some of the stuff is kind of in there. But once it's assembled, it doesn't look like the drive shaft is molded in once you paint it and everything. And with the exhaust floating, the rear axle, but it doesn't have any shocks. Exhaust pipes are there. Doing the Multi-Low chrome on it. So I did this top and backs, but I didn't do the bottom here because of holding it and touching it. I'll do that pretty much at the end. But I got the engine in place and detailed. You can see the starter there, the oil filter and adapter and all of that, and the fans. There's the fuel pump. I got the gold base on it and aluminum. Just having a little bit of fun with it. The upper radiator hose, air cleaner, all that's in there. Carburetor's painted gold. Did the master cylinder in steel and some of the black wires and stuff on the firewall. Just trying to get all that to look pretty good. And it's pretty much ready to drop in. Little bare, but that's the way this model kit is. And I'm just building it pretty much out of the box except for those few changes that I mentioned. So this is looking really good. And when I'm talking about this is visible, when you put this in here, you can see the gap between the firewall in there, but you can see the green paint's in there, so I painted that, and you can see the floor, although the exhaust pipes distract from it, and so do the torsion bars, which the rest of the suspension is not here. Very basic, but still, just detailing it up as best as I can to make it look good. Got the axle in there, ready for the wheels and tires, but once I paint those, then I'll get them on. But that's one of my next steps, and then detail this interior, the wood, and some of the highlights. So that'll be the next thing I'm working on. But she's coming along great. I'm really happy with the way this is coming. And then my spoiler choice. I mentioned that I did change out the rear spoiler. I wanted the more 71 look. This is the one I decided to go with. This is actually from the AMT 71 Charger RT, and it's a little bit smaller. I ended up choosing this one because for me, it's a little smaller, doesn't stick up as high, but it's like the right width and everything, and but it's a little small. But I like the way it looks, kind of proportionate to the car, but it's hard to say. It's been a long time since I've seen a demon with a wing, or just a demon period in real life. So, and then the wings are kind of rare. But I also, here's the kit's wing, which this is more of a 70 wing, which is really cool. The way it's made, this is more of a 70 wing. But this is what they give you. And then the 71 Duster 340, which is also AMT kit, it's virtually the same size. So if I hold them up to the camera, and you can see they're pretty much the same size with single pin mounting, but they're a little bit farther apart. But that gives you the 71 wing also. I think most of you would probably like this wing over the other wing because it stands up the same height. It's the same thickness and size. Pretty much almost the same as the one that's on here. The holes don't quite line up, but it's a little bit bigger and a little bit taller. And visible through the rear window when you look for it. That's kind of why I went with the other one, and it hangs over a little bit more because it is a little bit bigger. But it is nice. It is really nice. But once I had already drilled the holes and positioned the smaller one, this one works just as well. And I think many of you would probably prefer this one over this one because you can see the size difference, as it definitely looks a lot smaller. Doesn't help that I've got one painted black and one not so far. Plus I like the texture on the Charger version. But a little bit lower, a little bit skinnier. So they both have their view, but I decided this is the one I was going to go with. But this one does fit and look good on it as well. So there's the spoiler options that are there. So she's looking really good. Looking forward to getting just the last little bits on, getting the taillights in there. This one's a gloss paint that doesn't need clear coat. And I think I'm going to leave it alone on this one. It's from Scale Finishes. I had it a long time, so I prefer base coat now instead of the clear coat. But as I found out, if you try and sand on this, it comes up a little lighter. So once it's dried and everything, you really can't sand it. It gives you a little bit of a different tone. Front valance panel's ready, so it's pretty ready. Other than, some of the details of the body and interior, this thing's getting pretty close to done. So I'm enjoying it. Pretty easy build as far as it goes. Like I said, a little light on the detail, but still, after detail painting it and everything, kind of makes some of the stuff stand out. Which, is another reason why I kind of like the over-restored look. But you got to paint in all the areas and make sure you get paint in all the areas, which is why all of the inside here is painted as well, because some of these areas are visible and pop up. Some are well hidden. This chassis is tugged up in there pretty well. Hood's looking pretty good. Underside of the hood is painted as well. But I'll get the decals and get the foil on this. So this one will probably be done in the next couple of weeks. So it might be a little while before you see another update on this one, because I'll do one more probably before I finish it. We'll just see where I'm at and what stages I'm at when I share it with you guys. So that being what it is, fun kit. Did find a 3D printed 72 grill on eBay, so I ordered that. So I might be getting another one of these kits possibly. But anyway, we'll see what happens. You guys, thank you for tuning in, subscribing, and all your comments. I really do appreciate you guys. and you have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next time.